All right, welcome back. It's time for another Wurm Online video. I'm pretty pleased with my test video that I did prior to this. It didn't come out perfect, but it came out decent. Decent enough to where I feel I can move forward and maybe do a Wurm Online video every once in a while. Man, this horse is eating a lot. Even before I started doing the videos, like every few seconds, he's reaching down there to get some grass. He's a hungry boy. So here I am in third-person view, just in case you didn't know that third-person view has been added to Wurm Online. You know what? There's been a lot of updates and changes to Wurm Online. Recently, we have, of course, third person has been added. There are two new servers coming out on the 24th, one for PvE and one for PvP. That corresponds to the Steam release of Wurm Online on the same date. What else? Oh yeah, Xanadu is getting a new host on the 13th. The word on the street is we shouldn't expect a huge improvement or maybe any improvement at all in terms of lag. However, the hardware is supposed to be newer and the read-write rate of the hard drive is also supposed to be faster. So I think given that, we could safely assume at least a slight improvement. Although the cause of lag on Xanadu is primarily due to the size of Xanadu. Let me see. What else? What else is going on? Oh, one of the biggest things that happened, although this wasn't, this has been a little bit in the past, but it's still recent enough compared to the age of Wurm that we could consider it recent, and that's the fact that Wurm Online has been purchased, or rather Code Club as a company was purchased by another, I think it was also another Swedish-based company. I think it's called Game Chess Group. I think that's the name of the company. And from what I read, from my understanding was that they were going to be pretty light-handed when it comes to Code Club. In other words, letting Code Club operate pretty much the same way they've been operating, except that now that there's a new owner, there might be an injection of more funds. And that's probably what we've been experiencing with a lot of these changes, is the result of a bit of spending. I know some people think that selling the company is, to use their words, a death warrant. But a lot remains to be seen. When a company buys a game, they usually expect to make a profit off of it. So that means they usually want to make improvements and move forward. And so far, from what I've seen, the improvements are pretty positive. Let's see, what else? Today is the 10th of July, and Retro mentioned that they're going to announce the new names of the servers today. And in doing so, one or two people will learn that they won the prize too, because they're giving a prize to those that came up with the names that were selected for the new servers. I think it's 6 months of premium, and I think it's in 25 silver, if I recall. So that's a pretty good deal. I was curious to learn if it would be possible for one person to win both of those, because you could submit two entries, one entry for the PvE server and one for the PvP server. And of course, we all think we have the best names ever. Yes, it would be nice to win that, but what I hope for more is just that whatever the names are, they're good names. By the way, I'm kind of out here in the middle of nowhere, kind of. I've been traveling a bit. I wouldn't say exploring. I would say, how would I describe what I do? I would say patrolling. I often patrol in and around and near my deed, although I'm a bit out right now, about 30 minutes away from my deed by horseback. because I like to see what's new. Has anyone moved in? Has anyone moved out? Oh boy. That's probably why I was lagging a little bit. I don't think you saw that pop-up though. I don't think you saw it because I'm recording in game mode right now to avoid Windows shenanigans. But anyway, there was, what was I saying? So I'm about 30 minutes outside of my deed right now, and I was just checking out some of the areas that I like to frequent to see if there's anything new going on in the neighborhood. So far, I actually did find something new. There is a rift, and there's some guys preparing that rift. It's actually pretty close to where I live. And I also found a new road off of this highway that someone recently built. I'm not sure where it's leading to or if it's going to lead to a deed or what, but it just seemed to be a lonely road. What else is new? There is one more thing. Actually, before I get to that, I have come up with a concept for a video series. I haven't completely decided yet. It'll be related. I'm not going to say anything other than that. Not that it's like some big deal. Not that like there's a bunch of people just waiting for me to release some Wurm series. I think there are lots of opportunities, though, especially given all of the changes. It's 2020. There are some great videos out there already, but I think it's time for a refresh. I think I would like to see a few people do a This is Wurm Online video, introducing the game, kind of showing it off a little bit for new players or new people that are curious about it. Also showing off the graphics, because there have been a lot of graphic improvements as well. I mean, we have a new sky, for example. So many new changes and updates in Wurm lately. I also think that the community as a whole could benefit from some new tutorial type videos. I know there's some really good ones out there already, but again, just due to all of the changes and new additions to the game, I think it would be nice to see some new tutorials for a new generation of players, perhaps. And with that aside, the purpose of this video was I wanted to talk a little bit about the new user interface. Look at that. Look at that user interface. Isn't it lovely? When this first was released, by the way, this is playable on the live preview client. It's not on the live client. But if you launch Wurm via the launcher that allows you to choose your client, then you can select live preview and view the new user interface. Keep in mind, if you do that, if you make any adjustments to Windows in terms of their positions or sizes or any of that, it's going to reflect in the live server as well. So if you want to really tweak your user interface settings, then you should probably just plan to play the live preview until it comes to the live server. Because otherwise, you're going to have to go back and rechange your windows again when you go back to the live server. There's quite a few updates with the user interface. I'm gonna go over them. I did watch another video, someone talking about the user interface, but I think they overlooked a couple of things, and I wanted to touch on that a bit. There have already been, I think, 2 rounds of bug fixes with this new user interface, and oh man, there were so many bugs. I was actually very disappointed when this user interface first came out. I had a real hard time understanding how that could be, because the language used was that the user interface had undergone 3 months of polish. So to me, polish means, they've really gone over it in great detail, fixing any issues, and now they're into the polishing mode. But I think now maybe they meant something else by the phrase or by the word polish. But since then, there have been a number of fixes and improvements, and I do like it now. There still needs to be some more fixes, though. And I do want to go over, though. The first thing I want to bring up is something really cool. I think it's pretty common for games, but it's not been common for Wurm Online. And that is the fact that the settings menu is now in the game. You no longer have to go outside of the game into Windows to get to the settings. So the way you do it is you just hit Escape, and then you click Settings, and behold, the settings window is in the game. And there was much rejoicing throughout the land of Wurm. Now, I should point out that my windows are a bit larger than maybe another player. I'm on a 1920 by 1080 resolution screen. And if you go to user interface, there's an option here for UI scale. I have mine set at 125%. It's not that I want 125%. I'd probably be closer to maybe 105 or maybe 110. But the reason I have it on 125% is because the text scale is hooked to the Windows scale. So if I want text that I can read, then I have to also accept the fact that that's going to increase the window size. However, that being said, on the user interface thread on the official Wurm Online forums, one of the more recent posts mentioned that they will be bringing back individual font controls for the windows, like what is in the current client of Wurm Online. Specifically mentioned was the font size for the chat windows and also for the inventory window. So this is what the inventory window currently looks like. There have been some issues with the inventory window too, as reported by other players, but I like it. It works for me. I would rather have these windows a bit smaller but retain the text size. So I'm looking forward to that update that will bring in individual text size options and yet let me also scale. I was actually suggesting something a little bit different. I was suggesting two scales, one for the windows and then one for text size. But considering the fact that the individual text options is already present in the current client, it makes more sense that they'll just bring that into the new client. Since basically that coding is already done, they'll just need to tweak it some. What else? I should mention one other thing with the new user interface is that there are two themes. I'm hoping there'll be some more theme options in the future. It seems like that would be ideal because the two options now both seem pretty minimalistic in terms of how they affect the window. I'll show you. Right now I'm using the light theme. With the light theme, if you watch these borders in the chat windows, for example, here and also here, this is the combat window. A lot of people are complaining about this window, saying it's too large. I agree. However, I think if they're going to add text size option, then this won't be too big of a deal because this can be adjusted with scaling. But anyway, so I'm on the light theme. If I select dark and then save it, you'll notice all of the borders for these windows change to a darker, including this. There is another window that is affected by this, and that's the paper doll window. And I actually don't like the dark background theme for this one, but I prefer the light theme anyway. So that's why I've been using the light theme. I'll save this, and then you can see how this pretty much looks the way that it did before, and I do like that. Window is pretty big though. So is a crafting window. Look at this monster. I always had a problem with the old interface because the text in here was just so small. I had a really hard time reading it. Definitely won't have a hard time with that anymore. I kind of hope though that if they add text size option along with the scaling, that there'll be a text size option for the crafting window too. Because I always had to squint reading this. And I don't mind a larger crafting window. Although I think something more like maybe this size would be better. Would be good, would be fine for me. I'm really not sure how the light and dark settings affect all windows, but I do know how it affects enough windows that I prefer the light theme. So I'm pretty happy with it. Another change they've done is they've redone all of the icons that appear here when you've targeted creatures, and I love them. They look real sharp, they look modern, and they just look so much better. I'll see if I can't find something. Actually, I should probably head back to my deed anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, if I find something... Actually, you know what? I made the mistake of doing my patrols without bringing any cotton. So all I had was one tiny piece left. So I don't have the strongest fight skills in this game. So I do need to be careful. I happen to know where there's an abandoned deed nearby. Well, actually, it's not nearby. Well, it is nearby, but it's a major pain to get to. It'd take me another 30 minutes to get to it. But I do know there's some cotton abandoned there. But I'm not going to bother with it. What do we have over here? I think normally I can handle these spiders okay. But I don't want to get too injured and only have one piece of cotton. Plus, he could get in some lucky hits. So I think I'll just leave him alone. I might show you this abandoned deed nearby here sometime. It's actually a really, really good spot, in my opinion. And I hate to see it just go to waste. I'm sure someone would love to live there. It's not my type of deed because it's up high, and I prefer to be on the water. But I think there are some people out there that would love to have a deed like that. There are some things with the user interface that I'm not a fan with. I have accepted it. I didn't accept it at first, but after a couple of rounds of fixes and updates, I do like it now. I'm embracing it even. I haven't even been playing with the live client. I've been only doing the preview or live preview. And we got a troll up here. What you doing, old troll? Just hanging out? You may have noticed also the health bar now that appears when mousing over critters and such. I kind of like it, but I think it could be done better. Where did he go? Is there something else I can target so that I can give an example? I'm sure. Oh, here we go. Here's a hyena down here. I think the way this should be done is a little bit different. Notice how we have this tooltip here. It seems to me, because see the tooltip moves as I move the mouse, but that health bar is static. I think it would be better if the health bar were brought into the toolbar. Because something about having two pop-ups when I mouse over this thing just annoys me. I don't know why. It's not a huge deal. I can live with it. Like I said, I'm accepting the UI, but I do find that a bit annoying. I would like to. It'd be nice if they could fix that. One thing too, and this isn't just with the new user interface; it was with the old. Is I wish they would take this title out. I don't need to know that this is the custom timers. I know it's custom timers. I don't need a title here, just like I don't need a title here. Or, a title here that says tool belt or any of that. It would be nice if there were an option to maybe toggle that off, because what I do is I try to position it so it's kind of hidden, so that when this box is selected, I'm not wasting space. I'm a big fan of being able to view as much of the world as I can. I like feeling like I'm interacting with the world and not like I'm interacting with windows. I understand there's going to be windows because there are mechanical functions and ways that you have to interact with the world, and that's the way it is. I usually see some greenish spiders in this area, and every once in a while a champion. The last time I was through here, there were 2 greenish and 1 champion. What's this down here? It's a dog. I haven't seen a dog in a while. If we watch him for a while, you'll see him bark, but he won't make any sounds. It's the same with the cows, by the way. You'll see them move, but you won't hear. And I looked into this, and apparently, once upon a time, actually, I should fight that dog so you can see the combat window, because he won't hurt me that much. Let me fight him, and hopefully I won't lose my train of thought, and I'll come back to the once upon a time that I was just about to discuss. So you can see the combat window looks quite a bit different. I think the idea is they're going to add abilities here. This shows you your footing. This gives you a visual of your distance. So right now it shows that I'm too far. So if I moved in closer, you would see probably, there we go. Now it's showing that I'm at a good. And then this, of course, would be too close. I'm not going to go through all these details. You can see also a new icon. And if you mouse over here, then you can click that for no target. Sorry, old dog. I needed you for an example. I hope you enjoyed your life, even if it was short. But remember, even dragonflies just live for days. That's it. And you lived much longer than that. Good old dog. Okay, train of thought. Oh, I knew I would lose it. I'm not much of a multitasker these days. Yes, I have everything in here fit in so tight that it's overlapping. Look at this. See the quick bar? I have it hidden behind this because before on the old UI, I could get that in here and then the select bar here and it would fit. But it doesn't fit anymore. But it's okay. I found a home for it here, and I'm trying to use more binds now. For example, I use P for paper doll. I'm using F2 for stats. I'm using M for map. And the map keeps forgetting its position. So I always move it there, then I always lock it, hoping that it will be fixed by the time I log in again, and it still remains unfixed. It always moves back to default, and it's always unlocked. I hope they fix that. I know it's a minor thing. It's not like, anyone's going to quit the game because of that. But it's just one of those attention to detail aspects that I would like to see corrected. I'll tell you another one that was recently fixed, and I was so happy about this. So I'm in third person. Sorry about the lag. I'm traveling, and it's an area that I've been in this area before, but typically when you travel, whoa, big lag spike. Wow, frames dropped all the way down to 4. That's so disappointing. I'm also not on the VPN right now, and usually when I travel around, I use a VPN because I find that I get better results. Anyway, I forgot. I lost track again. See, I keep distracting myself. I'd like to see this title gone. Oh, I was going to mention what they fixed. Used to be, if you wanted to adjust your here, let me go out of third person view, and right now I'm in free look mode, and I have my hotkey set to tab, so I can go to cursor mode, tab again, free look mode. That's the way I have it set up. The settings for that has been traditionally here, and right here under game where it says mouse sensitivity. And I don't know why it's at 294. I had it at 3. Anyway, I wish I could type in there instead of, because it's such a sensitive spot. 303, close enough. I should be able to click right here and just type in what I want. Shouldn't I? Isn't it the way it's usually done? But maybe it's an issue for Wurm. Maybe because they would have to put a form field in there and, well, but these are form fields, right? So it seems like it should work. Anyway, mouse sensitivity would adjust how sensitive your mouse is in free look mode. But it would not adjust for left click look mode. For that, you would have to go into your console, and then you would have to type in sensitivity, and then followed by whatever you wanted it to be, which in this case I would always set it to 3. It just so happens that that setting also affected the way the sensitivity mode in third person view, but it didn't retain this, which was annoying. So every time you would log into the game, you would have to go into the console and reset your sensitivity to 3 or whatever value you preferred. Actually, let me see if that changed the setting in here. Oh, it did. Cool. So I guess it is a way you can set the exact amount if the slider isn't working as perfectly as you would like for it to. You can see they added some menus up here as well. And if you use the dark theme, these buttons are darker than they appear now. So if you were curious about that, you can check it out on your own though. I did want to mention one thing about the quick bar. At first, I thought of this as an unintentional issue. And here, I'll actually show you. If I minimize this window, and here, let me unlock this and move it over. Let's say you wanted this to be all the way up here. Let me move to where there's more light. You can see that there's a little border here, and no matter what you do, you can't get it flush. Initially, I didn't like that. Now, if I were playing PvP, I would want something like this, or maybe even more like this, because I wouldn't want to be standing here like this and someone come down across the hill and I can't see them because this is blocking. I would like to see something like this. This is sort of a bad example. But I like PvP games, I do. I play a lot of PvP games, but in Wurm Online, not so much. Well, actually, not at all. At least not yet. Wurm Online sort of tickles my creativity bone, and I'm not as interested in PvP here as I am with creating things. Now, if I move this over to the left, it's the same thing. You get where you can't move it flush. But if you move it to the bottom, that doesn't happen. So I thought that was an issue. I thought, well, there must be some transparent border around this, a PNG or something, that we can't see that's blocking it so it can't be made flush. However, I now love it because it's this way, and I'll show you why. Because I need to sort of hide this. Is that right? You're going to see how OCD I am now about making everything just pixel perfect. I think that's good. It's kind of hard to tell. Oh, it's too way up or too high up. There we go. So let me lock this and show you why I like it. Because even though there's no overlap that is visible here, there is a mechanical overlap, which means if I want to get to this window, I don't have to minimize chat. Instead, I can just click right there and bring it up, and then I can click whatever button I want to click. And then whenever I want it to be behind the window again, then I'll just click here. So now I love it, and I don't see it as as something that needs to be fixed. Now I see it as a feature. And in fact, I had posted on the community forums in the UI thread saying, hey, this should be fixed. And I went back and I deleted those segments of my post. And then I hope they didn't read that part. But I think they read every post. I know a lot of people have been repeating their criticisms with the new UI. I have too, because there's really no acknowledgement. There's no way to know if some staff member saw your post and got the message to the dev saying, oh, here's another one. Someone found this error. But I think they do read every post, but it would be pretty annoying if they went in and acknowledged every post. I think this game has taught me a bit of patience. Hey, I'm not happy with these lower frames I'm getting here, but there is a big deed up here coming up this road too. Let me see. What else? Oh, yes, there is another thing that I don't like. There seems to be a mix of modern graphics like this and like this with the old graphics. And they don't they don't go together very well, in my opinion. I think if we want sort of the retro icons, then these should have a sort of retro icon look as well. And although I do like the way the health bar stands out, it's a bit too pastel to match the older icons like this, and also like this, for example, because they didn't change any of these icons or any of these icons. So it's like it's only partially done. So I'm curious to see if they're going to change all of these icons that are visible in the user interface or not. If not, then I'd like to see this go to something, something different that fits what we've already had. I'm not the first person to comment on that, by the way. Not that I'm suggesting that I'm right because other people agree with me. I'm just pointing out that I know that there have been some others that have offered that same bit of criticism. So anyway, I just paused and checked the forums to see if the new server names had been announced yet. They did say today, but maybe they haven't decided yet. Maybe there were lots of great entries and they're having a hard time deciding. I didn't want to go much longer than 30 minutes on this video, and it's at 32 minutes now. So I'm trying to think if there is anything else I wanted to mention about the user interface. I guess not. This guy, it must be his alt here. You know what, while we're here, do you want to take a peek at this deed? This guy spent 3 months flattening this whole area in here. And I guess he decided that he wanted to be a bit level with the highway. So he chose this level, which matches up well with the highway. But then there was a hill here, gradually getting higher and higher. So as we get back here, you can see there's some pretty steep inclines. But if you're curious to see how do I articulate this? If you're curious to know how long it would take to flatten an area this size, it was about 3 months. And it kind of looks like it. I guess it depends on how many hours you're logged in during those 3 months as well. Oh, and my throat is starting to give me a hard time right now, so this is another good reason to go ahead and end this video. So I guess I'll go ahead and end it here. Let me think just one more minute to see if there was anything else I wanted to mention about the user interface. I guess that's it. I will mention one more thing. It's still not live. It's in the live preview, so that means they're still working on it. They have already made a lot of edits, fixes, and improvements. And I think they've been doing a pretty good job. Like I said, I was really disappointed at first, and now I like it. I think they're headed in the right direction. I know they're not done with it yet. I know there still needs to be some fixes. And in my opinion, some things that could improve it as well. But as it is now, I'm okay with it. I like it. I was initially concerned because I didn't think I would be able to get my windows similar to the way that I had before. Because, like I said, I like to have a lot of visual world view when I'm playing the game as much as possible. And with this setup, I can do that. I wouldn't mind these windows being just a little bit smaller. And I think I'll be able to do that once they add individual text size options. So that's it. That's a preview of the new user interface. I'm sure they're still going to be making some changes on it, so just sort of as a disclaimer. However, this is not the tests client, so this is perfectly legal to show you all of this. And that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you the next time.